you ever wondered what Allah would do if someone came to demolish the Kaaba? This incident is exactly like that which has been written in history forever. Abraha the Abyssinian was the governor of Yemen under the Negus. He was a Christian. When he saw that people circumambulated the Kaaba all year round and that the trade and prestige of the region were maintained because of the Kaaba, he decided to build in the Yemeni capital, Sana'a, a very magnificent and splendid church called Kilis. He intended to encourage the Arabs to come to Yemen and perform pilgrimage at that church instead of coming to the Kaaba. The church was so magnificent that Abraha proudly wrote to the Negus, "I have built a house so grand that the Arabs will bow before it and will forget Mecca." But the Arabs, they had loved the Kaaba for generations. When they learned that Abraha had built the Kilis to remove the sanctity of the Kaaba, a youth from the tribe of Kinana, burning with anger, traveled to Yemen. He defiled the church by defecating inside it, and under cover of night smeared filth on the church walls. When Abraha saw the desecration of his church the next morning, he was furious. Abraha swore, "I will not rest until I have demolished the Kaaba." Abraha gathered an army of 60,000, accompanied by large war elephants, and at the front was his gigantic elephant, Mahmud. The plan was to bind strong, long iron chains to the pillars of the Kaaba, attach those chains to the elephants' necks, and have the elephants pull so that the Kaaba would immediately collapse. This army trampled Arab tribes, looted their wealth, and spread terror as it marched toward Mecca. Abraha's troops seized all the camels and other livestock of the people of Mecca. Among them were 400 camels belonging to Abdul Muttalib, the custodian of the Kaaba. This incident deeply distressed Abdul Muttalib. So he went to speak to Abraha and presented himself in Abraha's camp. When Abraha learned that the leader of the Quraysh had come to meet him, he had Abdul Muttalib brought into his tent. When Abraha saw Abdul Muttalib, a tall, imposing, extremely handsome man whose forehead shone with the dignity of nobility, Abraha was impressed. He rose from his throne out of respect, seated Abdul Muttalib beside him and asked, "Speak, chief of the Quraysh, what brings you here?" Abdul Muttalib replied, "Return to us the camels and goats that your soldiers have driven away. Hand over all those animals to us." Hearing this, Abraha said, "O chief of Quraysh, I thought you were a brave and magnificent man, but by coming to ask me about your camels you have diminished your dignity in my eyes. What are camels and goats after all? I have come to demolish your Kaaba, yet you say nothing about that." Abdul Muttalib then said the historic words that will be remembered forever. "I am the owner of my camels, but the Kaaba belongs to Allah. He himself will protect his house. I have no concern for my home as if I could be its guardian. God is its guardian." Hearing this, Abraha said in his pharaonic tone, "O chief of Mecca, hear this. I will demolish the Kaaba brick by brick and erase its name from the face of the earth, because the people of Mecca greatly dishonored my church. Therefore, I find it necessary to destroy the Kaaba in revenge." Abdul Muttalib replied, "Then do as you will, you know and Allah knows. Who am I to intercede?" After this exchange, Abraha ordered that all the animals be returned. Abdul Muttalib took all the camels and goats back to his house and told the people of Mecca to take their livestock and leave Mecca, to climb the mountain peaks and take refuge in the valleys and hollows. Saying this, he and a few members of his family went into the Kaaba, clasped the door's ring, and in extreme distress and tears prayed to Allah as follows: "O Allah, indeed a person guards his own house, so guard your house, the Kaaba. Help your servants against the cross worshippers and their followers this day." He prayed in essence, "O Allah, just as people defend their homes, defend your house and support your obedient servants against the Christians." Abdul Muttalib prayed like this, then took his family and the people of Mecca up the mountain and watched for God's power to appear. The next morning, Abraha set out from a valley called Majaz, 2 farsakhs away from Mecca, with his powerful army. The war elephants were decorated with colorful saddles and precious ornaments. Abraha ordered the elephants to be placed at the head of the column and put his elephant Mahmud at the very front, because they believed victory and triumph depended on its steps. It said that one of Abraha's soldiers, moved by emotion, approached Mahmud and whispered in the elephant's ear, "O elephant, go back, for where you are going is a sanctuary, associated with Allah. Beware, do not harm it." When Mahmud heard the name of Allah, he lowered his head. When he was turned toward the Kaaba, he stood silently and placed his trunk on the ground. His forehead was struck, and sometimes they treated him gently, but all efforts were in vain. Mahmud would not take a single step forward toward the Kaaba, though if turned another way he would walk. Other elephants were controlled, but they relied on Mahmud as an omen and placed their hopes on him. The soldiers were deeply troubled by Mahmud's behavior. Suddenly, darkness seemed to fall to the ground, and when they looked up at the sky they saw swarms of dark birds coming from the direction of the sea. The sky appeared covered in a black sheet. These were birds not native to that region. Each bird held a small stone in its beak and claws, a pebble larger than a lentil and smaller than a chickpea, and on each stone the name of the person it was destined to kill was written. The birds came in squadrons. First they circled the Kaaba, then turned toward Abraha's army and began to pelt them. The Ababils, flocks of birds. Stoning was so ferocious that in an instant Abraha's army and its elephants were torn apart. The stones of the Ababils struck with such force, the punishment of the Lord of Might, that when a pebble hit a soldier on an elephant it pierced his body and passed through the elephant's body as well. Not a single man of Abraha's army survived. When the Ababils attacked Abraha's army, Abraha fled, abandoning his troops toward Abyssinia. But misfortune remained with him. On the way he contracted a disease, leprosy, and his body's joints began to fall apart. His fingers dropped from his hand and blood flowed from his joints. In that state he stumbled to the Negus and related the situation. A bird that had been tasked with killing the Negus's enemy came there to complete its mission. Its claws and beak held the stone with Abraha's name. When Abraha looked up and saw it flying, he told the Negus that these were the same birds which had destroyed his army. In that moment the bird had already done its work and dropped the stones on Abraha, so that Abraha too would meet the same doom as his soldiers. The Qur'an has preserved this event forever. It states, "Have you not seen how your Lord dealt with the companions of the elephant? Did he not make their plan go astray? And he sent against them birds and flocks, striking them with stones of baked clay, and made them like eaten straw." Surah Al-Fil. After Abraha's army was routed, Abdul-Muttalib assessed the situation and announced, "O people, O Quraysh, congratulations, the enemy's work is finished, their house is ruined and the Kaaba is safe. Now come down in peace." Hearing Abdul-Muttalib's announcement, all the people came down from the mountains. But when the stench from the corpses of Abraha's soldiers became unbearable, Abdul-Muttalib prayed in the Kaaba to remove the calamity. His prayer was answered. A flood came that washed the corpses away and purified the land of Mecca of those unclean remains. After this event the esteem and respect for Abdul-Muttalib and the Kaaba increased throughout Mecca and beyond, and the prestige of the Quraysh of Mecca spread across neighboring regions. This incident strengthened the Arabs' belief in the power of Allah. They realized that the Kaaba is God's house, and its protector is the Lord Himself. When Allah's help comes, even a small bird like the Ababil can defeat an enormous creature like an elephant. When Allah wills, He makes the truth prevail by His signs. This event occurred in 570 AD, known as the Year of the Elephant. That same year, the year Allah protected His house, the one who would become a mercy to the whole universe was born. Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.